a big loss of productivity to the economy. Employers are losing 1 in 10 to 1 in 12 women leave their job when they get to menopause because they haven't got the right support. And explain what would have made a difference for you. What would you like to have seen in place?
I'm working there. I'm a woman, and now I'm aware of the. I wouldn't call it the problem because it's not the problem. It's a part of the life, right?
One, make sure you're talking to somebody because it can become very isolating. And when your estrogen levels drop, your oxytocin levels drop as well.
So thank you very much, Lauren, again for showing up on this podcast, the Business Breakthrough. Would you mind just start sharing about what is it you do so we can get to know a little bit more about you?
Yeah, sure. Just before we dig in, are you recording for video or for audio or for both or for both?
Mhm.
Yeah, cool. No worries. So what do I do? What do I do? I work with large corporate organizations to help them become menstruation to menopause savvy and supportive. And that can come in the form of training, strategy, working with the senior team to look at their key performance indicators over the next 3 to 5 years, training their people, delivering talks, workshops, and toolkits. And then I also have an academy where we train people to become menopause champions, menopause coaches, and menopause mentors as well.
Mhm. Okay, perfect. And where are you based, if I can ask, Lauren?
Southwest, Bristol.
Okay, so you're in Bristol. Okay, very
Yeah.
good. So you do that work for people in here in the UK mainly?
No, we work globally.
Okay. So when you are
Yeah.
delivering those trainings and those workshops, so are they online or people you go and send your coaches to or and yourself to those locations?
Both, both. So a mixture of online and in person. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Amazing. And so why is it important to focus on this menopause in those large corporations? Why to focus on that? Was the main issue?
So the lack of menopause support within workplace is costing the global economy about $156 billion a year.
Wow.
So it's a big loss of productivity to the economy. Employers are losing 1 in 10 to 1 in 12 women leave their job when they get to menopause because they haven't got the right support. So there's a big talent drain, there's a loss of productivity, a loss of employee engagement. And if organizations are serious about inclusion, if they're serious about having women in the senior positions, the time you become menopausal tends to be also the time when you're in your most senior years in work. So
Mhm.
it's important that the right environment, the right culture is created and the right support mechanisms are in place as well.
Mhm. So would you mind sharing, for example, what those some of those mechanisms in workplace that can be? Because I don't know, I've never worked in any large corporation. I cannot imagine
Yeah,
what that could be. And then you are not the first person I'm doing a podcast about menopause or anything like that. And I
yeah,
also and other speakers to speak about it. So
yeah,
and my wife is doula, and menopause is
yeah,
something she's definitely excited about as well in her
yeah.
life because she knows a lot of people in that area where if you treat it
Mm,
well, if you know, it's like you don't need to be afraid. It's more something to be
mm,
looking forward to it. So, but
yeah.
how to work in the workplace? Like if you have this large corporation, like what people would do there.
Yeah, well, all organizations I work with, every single sector, but my own background is I'm ex-financial services, so I used to running large global transformation projects and programs. I would look at the people, systems, processes, and all the changes that would come along with that. And I got to my early 40s where I had gotten to a point where I was sitting in meetings and finding it was difficult to speak up because I had a lot of anxiety, which I'd never experienced before. And my throat would be so tight with anxiety, I'd have to sip hot water to be able to
Mhm.
squeak out the smallest of sentences. And then other times I would be really questioning my own judgment about making quick, business critical decisions. And that made me lose a lot of confidence. And then ultimately, I left my job thinking I had early onset dementia. So I was a sole parent of a child with lifelong medical needs. And at that point, I genuinely thought I was going to have to find someone else to bring up my son. And then I would have to find a home somewhere where I could be looked after. So when I started studying menopause and learning more about it, I would bring people together, like groups of women, to talk about their experience.
Mhm.
And one of the women said to me, could you come and speak to my company and explain what would have made a difference for you? What would you like to have seen in place? And that was when I really got to think about, well, actually, what would have made a difference?
Yeah.
Because as a senior leader, I don't want to my hand up and say, "Hey, I'm menopausal," right? I'm not interested in sharing my personal journey with everybody. And what I realized was that nobody was talking about menopause. I wasn't educated on menopause. And therefore, I didn't know what I was going through. And I left my job thinking it was something completely different. If we'd been talking about menopause and we'd been aware of what menopause was, if our managers knew how to identify the signs, if the women going through it and the people going through it knew what menopause was and they could self-identify, and we had good benefits, so we had an employee assistance program, private medical care, supportive communities in the business, that would have made a really big difference.
Mhm.
So I started working with many of the banks and building societies, a lot of oil and gas, construction, engineering companies around the world, and looking to see how can we change their policies, their guidance documents, the training, and then looking really at the whole colleague journey from job specification, job design, all the way through the recruitment process, onboarding, through the whole life cycle of an employee. And then I started working with other sectors like hospitality and some of the biggest hotel hospitality chains in the world. And then we started looking at their customers and looking to see, what impact does it have if you're traveling as a woman who's going through menopause and you turn up and things aren't going well, how you might react differently and how the staff in the hotel can support that. So we started looking at different sectors, different jobs, not just office based jobs, but things like frontline workers. If you've got an ambulance worker who's having a heavy period or having challenges, how do they suddenly take care of themselves before they can do their day job? If we're
Mhm.
looking at factory workers who are clocking in and clocking out at very specific times, how do we start thinking about supporting them as well? So over the last 11, 12 years, we've just developed lots of different strategic approaches with different industries. And, we do that from doing big talks at conferences all the way through toolkits. We talked earlier about podcasts. We have a podcast now with lots of top tips that people can tune into as well. So it's just about understanding the industry and finding out what is going to be really meaningful and impactful for them.
Mhm. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for sharing. Yeah, yeah, good. It's very interesting that you yourself, you feel like you have a dementia and you are already thinking about,
Mm,
like moving out and people like your
mm,
son would take care of you and it's just the menopause. That's great.
yeah,
Yeah.
completely, completely.
Yeah, yeah. I actually, to be honest, I think I had this. My mom, she went
Mm,
already, and I remember that because she was panicking. She was, like I was speaking with her, and she felt like she's dying or something.
mm,
And after she discovered it's menopause, and that before I didn't know either that that could be I couldn't advise, but
yeah,
yeah, I can imagine there is a lot of people like that. So obviously you mentioned that in those companies and even for the customer side, it's about the awareness. So if they are
yeah.
aware of that can happen, so that's gonna help them. So let's imagine that obviously, so I'm working there, I'm a woman and now I'm aware of the I wouldn't call it the problem because it's not the problem, it's a part of the life, right? So
Yeah.
I'm aware, and now I recognize it on myself. Okay, something's going on. Seems like that can
Mm,
be it from what I listen on
mm,
Lauren podcast, what they discuss. This is kind of I feel it, and so on that stage, what
mm,
she should be doing in order to not kind of go downside, down the hill and start like feeling like you
yeah.
fell with,
Yeah.
not being losing that confidence, what they should be doing, like an action.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of really important things, which is one, make sure you're talking to somebody because it can become very isolating. And when your estrogen levels drop, your oxytocin levels drop as well. So that connecting hormone, that bonding hormone, the one that we release when we have a baby, hopefully it helps us bond with the baby and it helps us kind of love and care for it. But that hormone can come down when we're going through menopause and our estrogen levels are coming down. So we can disconnect from people. So it's
Mhm.
very important that we have someone to talk to and someone that we trust enough to have a conversation and share how we're feeling. The other kind of key thing that we can do for ourselves is make sure we're well hydrated. So many of us, walking around this world without sufficient hydration, and that has a really big impact on life in general. But when you're going through menopause, if you're having hot sweats, night sweats and hot flushes, your body systems just need a little bit of extra support to work more effectively. So being well hydrated. So there are two things that people can do from the get-go. Equally, definitely go and see your doctor. download your country's guidelines for menopause. So in the US, in the UK, it would be NICE guidelines. Make sure you have a read of what they say because that will let you know what your doctor should be saying to you when you go to see them. Keep a symptoms list. So maybe spend a couple of weeks once a day, just write down your symptoms and how they're affecting you. Have the guidelines for what you should be expecting from your doctor and be prepared to have two appointments with your doctor as well. The first one to go in and explain what's going on, and then
Mhm.
usually your doctor and you will have a conversation about possible next steps. And
Mhm.
then in the second appointment, perhaps agreeing if there's any medication involved, what that might look like, and what's a good fit for you based on your own experience and your own medical history as well. So having your doctor's support is really important. Find someone at work to speak to if you're working. Make sure there's a trusted, confident person you can turn into. Understand what support is available in your workplace and learn how to access it. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I think often people can be so good at helping other people and so good at looking after their families and communities that they forget to look after themselves properly. So this is a time for you to really step up and start to look after yourself properly as well. So that's things like being hydrated, sleeping, having a good morning and evening routine and trying to get a good night's rest, which is also quite challenging.
Mhm.
Eating lots of great healthy foods. So, going to eat things that are in the most natural state possible. So, your proteins, your fish, your chicken. If you like your red meat, fair enough with the red meat. Lots of healthy fruit and vegetables as well. Trying to stay away from the fast food, the processed food, the alcohol, the caffeine, the spicy foods. All of these things can exacerbate many people's symptoms as well. Moving, making sure you're moving your body every day. And if you can start to think about whatever exercise or movement or activity you're doing, because exercise can be quite triggering word for a lot of people. So we want to just get people to start thinking about what can they do to help themselves get fitter, stronger, more flexible going forward, whatever that looks like. And that doesn't have to involve going to a gym,
Yeah.
just anything that, brings a smile to someone's face. And then community is really important as well.
Mhm.
So all of these things, when you put them together, can make a really big difference.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what exactly you are describing is just being healthy, right? And it's
Exactly.
being healthy, and I think this is where is the problem, right? Because people are unhealthy. So if they're unhealthy, they have to feel everything was happening much worse. COVID,
Hmm. Yeah.
like I had
Hmm.
COVID, I was okay, like
Yeah.
didn't feel it as much. People who are
Hmm.
unhealthy, they feel it more, right? And I feel like it does it. I think like it also affecting. I would just from my wife's experience, period.
Hmm.
In the
Hmm.
past, we weren't focusing as much in like what we eat and whatever. But in the
Hmm.
past 6 years, we really, organic things and
Yeah.
really like a good food, homemade or
Yeah.
majority, like
Yeah.
90%, and exercising. And she rarely feels it. And before she had like pains for like 3 days,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
just because she's healthy. And I feel like, people sometimes like overcomplicate things like when it comes to different um, problems with their
Mm.
health. It doesn't need to be like a menopause is obviously natural thing for women to experience, but even for anything else that's happening
Mm.
for their lives, it's like, yeah, let's go to the
Yeah.
doctor, get the medication. But no, if you're just gonna be healthy, like be taking care about yourself on a daily basis, it's not gonna happen.
Well, I
So
think that, everyone's very different. And, especially with the menstrual cycle, there are many, many menstrual health conditions like PMDD, endometriosis, fibroids that are causing really big problems for people and they're remaining undiagnosed for 10, 12 years in some cases. So there are genuine issues out there and everything can be helped. Like you say, everything can be helped by looking after yourself better, eating better, moving better. And if you can get a good night's rest as well is a massive bonus because that's what sets us up and for recovery for the next day. And
yeah,
equally, when I went through menopause, my background as a personal trainer, sports therapist, nutritional advisor, I was eating well. I was trying my best to get sleep. I was training for a marathon. I was basically overtraining, not getting
overtraining.
enough nutrients into my body, even though I ate beautifully. I ate very clean, what we call clean. I mean, clean is not an official word, but I was eating really well, training really well, trying to get the best rest as I could. But I was also the sole parent to child with lifelong medical needs. I was leading, team of 400 around the world on business critical projects. My stress levels were really high and I had this really terrible time. So it's what's healthy to one person is very different to being healthy for another person. And I
Yeah.
think that's the fine tuning of that suddenly becomes so important to make sure that we're doing the right thing for us at that time of our life, because what we did at other times of our life might not work,
No.
as I definitely found out for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Like you mentioned, stress plays a big role, and a lot of people are
yeah.
stressed, right? That jobs and finances and all these things, and
hmm
that's just
hmm
stressing. And like, for
Yeah.
what? Like, just
Yeah.
do something, change your life, and don't stress.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
so
Oh,
what?
if only right. But yeah, definitely, definitely.
I see it a
So
lot. Like people like some, you know, friends or whoever, like, yeah, this is difficult, this is like, so what did you do about it? Like, they don't do anything, and after they're just stressing.
yeah.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
that was okay. So that's good. What I was thinking to ask you is, do men have a menopause?
Do men have a menopause? Well, they don't have a monthly cycle, so they definitely don't go through menopause.
Mhm.
So when people ask that question, usually they're talking about the natural decline of the male hormones. So yes, all of us, all human beings, our hormone levels start to decline from about our mid-30s onwards. So
Mhm.
men's testosterone levels generally will drop off at a rate of 1% a year from their mid-30s onwards, so about 10% a decade. So over, from your 30s through to your 80s and beyond, you've got this kind of slow decrease. And then some people will have a bigger drop more quickly that can give symptoms that are similar to menopause, but clearly it's a very different experience because you're not going from being able to have a baby to no longer being able to have a baby and having a cycle and then no longer having a cycle. So it's a very different natural aging process. But there is a journey that some people will call andropause, and that's where the testosterone levels and then many men will use testosterone replacement therapy as well to help combat that in the same way as many women will use hormone replacement therapy or menopause
Mhm.
hormone treatment to manage their journey, because we're
Mhm.
living so much longer now than we've ever lived before.
Mhm.
So going back 100 years ago, we were going through menopause late 50s and being dead by 60. Now we're living till our 80s, right? So it's a very different thing now than it was 100 years ago. So
Mhm.
longevity plays a big role in it.
Mhm. I think I met one speaker in here in the UK on the event, and he's helping men with a menopause. He
Mm,
calls himself like a menopause, I don't know, coach, whatever.
yeah,
But I don't think like it's about like you said, like in
yeah,
when it comes to the body, like not naturally like women.
mm,
You mentioned about that, but I think like what he is helping is to when woman has a menopause and the man is there for her, like what he's supposed to do, if she feels
yes,
right. So basically,
yes,
I think he's training them to
yeah,
be there for them. Like my wife is a doula, should she prepared me
yeah,
to support her through her birth and pregnancy because
yeah,
we're like that. So Yana, she trained me before, so I would
mm,
know. And I think he's doing the same for menopause, right? Is that the thing, right?
yeah. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. A lot of the people I train as menopause coaches do that, especially the men, and because they can see that the massive impact it can have on a relationship if people don't know how to handle it. And often
Mhm.
men want to fix their wife or fix their partner
Yeah. Yeah.
when they're going through it. They're like, there's a problem, let's fix it, and get rid of it. And actually, usually the woman doesn't want to be fixed. They
Yeah.
want to be listened to, they want to be supported. But what they want today might be different what they want tomorrow, and then supporting a man to understand and just be there. But it does make I mean, relationships that come through menopause together and work through it together are so much more powerful and stronger for the future. So I love when I hear about a man that's really gone out of their way to support their partner.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember the about you mentioned about the fixing, and in the
yeah,
past also with my wife, like she would come up with some, let's say, problem, but she would share, and I'm like, okay, this is and this and this you need to do. And after she's like, I didn't ask you to fix it. I'm just sharing. And we'd be getting into these things, or she would tell me like, okay, you need to do that. And I'm like,
Mhm.
we don't like to be told what to do, right? We will do it, but don't tell me.
Yeah,
And I remember when I've done an event with Tony Robbins, I've done a lot of events
yeah,
with him, and he was sharing about it, like the difference between
yeah,
men and women. And there was one guy who was
mhm.
like, my husband, he just doesn't talk. He doesn't talk. I was like, yeah, he's a man. Yeah, but he doesn't talk. And he's like, yeah, because he's a man. And then there's
Men
like
are from
there's
Mars.
another, and I have now this another guy, and he talks too much. I'm like, yeah, because it's a feminine man. So it was so funny
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah,
realize like there is different roles,
yeah,
and it's not
yeah,
only men and women. It's also the obviously the feminine and masculine.
yeah.
So it's very interesting. Yeah. So
Yeah.
what are your plans with that? Where do you want to take it? I know you are helping those corporations. So what is your
Mhm.
bigger vision with that? Like, where do you want to take it?
Yeah. My bigger goal is to train 20,000 menopause coaches before I retire or die. So that's my number one goal because the more people I can train and my experts can train to go out into the world. So we've trained coaches in 36 countries around the world,
Wow.
and we've trained just over 1,386 coaches now. So we haven't hit the 20,000 yet, but we're on our way.
So you
And
have
I think
you hit what? 1,800? 18,000? No.
just over 1,380. We
Okay,
had another
1,380
co
already. Okay.
yeah,
That's a good
in
number.
36 countries. So 20,000 is the goal, and the more people we've got trained, the more people they can help, and then the less people that will have to suffer through menopause
Mhm.
because we'll be able to make sure that everyone knows what menopause is and how they can help support themselves going forward.
Mhm.
And that feels like a little drop in the ocean, but it's just my way of trying to make a bit of a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you also go like, I can imagine as a leader, do you go like on some events where you speak in front of bigger audiences and you share that? And after from there, some people will be like, okay, I would like to get that coaching training and start helping
Yeah.
people. How do you get those clients for yourself and how do you spread it?
From the coaching events
Yeah, like for like, how do you
or the
spread? Yeah, I
speaking.
think it's, yeah, the speaking, because I think like, because you like yourself, you cannot just go and just do all the work. So that's why you are training coaches. So you need to go somewhere to attract them so they will want to work with you, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm very fortunate because I've been doing this for a really long time. So people in the industry know the organization, they know me, and a lot of our work is inbound. Also, I speak at a lot of industry events. So I speak at women in law events, women in engineering, women in, a lot of the very male dominated
Yeah.
conferences. I'll either keynote or I'll run a workshop. And I've been doing that South Africa, Australia, UK, obviously around Europe and the Middle East, and then in Australia, in America as well. The states have 15 states have proposed legislation to support women through menopause at work. So that's
Mhm.
beginning to really grow. When I first started working with the US government, it was a very small group of people that were receptive to having these conversations. So it's great to see that legislation going through now. In the
Mhm.
UK, we have government action plans that are coming in over the next 18 months, so over 26, 27. Any organisation with over 250 people will have to have an action plan. So that means that there's more and more organizations now going, we need to do something. So they will then invite me in to speak at an event. They'll invite me in to do some strategy. But I love to speak at events where it's lots of different organizations there because then you're speaking to a good audience. And it
Mhm.
just takes one person to go, oh, yeah, I can really see the difference this is going to make to our business and to the bottom line if we are menopause savvy and menopause supportive.
Mhm.
And that's when, I, I I just love doing it, but that's where, I tend to find most of my leads come from is from doing the big conferences.
Mhm. Yeah. Many of these legislations in the UK, it's going to happen like say 2026, 2027
Yeah,
for
so
the.
it's with the new, yeah, it's there now. So over the next year, we'll be, people are going to be starting to implement them, and most of my clients already have things in place, obviously, but they become official over the next 2 years, which is great.
That's great. So I'm just listening now the book what GT recommended from the guy who's going to be on the Red Bull event, Richard Houghton.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
uh,
I didn't know, but he obviously he wants to help medium-sized companies to become a large companies. But he mentioned
yeah,
there is a 7,500 companies that have over 250 employees in the UK, and he wants to get it to 15,000. So it's like seven and a
yeah,
half thousand. If it's
yeah.
legislation needs to be done, so you need a lot of coaches, a lot of work.
Lot,
Full
and that's
work.
just in the UK, right?
This is the
I
UK.
love, yeah, and I love the fact that he's actually using his personal investment money to support entrepreneurs as well. Yeah. So yeah, I'm in the middle of listening to the book as well. So
Yeah, yeah,
it's
it's really
good.
good. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Are you coming for the Red Bull, huh?
Yeah, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
going to be in
Okay.
Sydney Opera House. Are you going to
Are you?
Sydney?
No, no, I've
Yeah.
never been to Australia yet, but we just joined the Insiders actually in March, so we are very
Me
near.
too.
So you too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Now
I
in
think it was
March.
March I joined. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, okay, amazing. So we are both new.
Yeah.
So we are doing the Red Bull, and we're gonna go to
Hmm.
make a success, and
Yeah.
that's it for now. I have a plan actually to go to Australia. I have a ticket for a different event for already a year and a half. There is a in
Yeah.
UK, no, probably there is a community non-profit PSA, Professional Speaking Association.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm part of that community, and they do hold once a 2 years like a conference,
Hmm.
which is a global conference, and this time it's in Australia, like next year in
Yeah.
March. And if I go to Australia, I'm gonna go there at least for a month, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna take all my family. So
Yeah.
so it's a little bit like holidays as well. Uh,
Yeah.
I cannot just fly around like that. I have three small children, so it's
Yeah.
as well as home. So yeah, so I'm also going for the first time to USA. Actually, I've never been, so that's gonna be interesting. And
Mm.
so actually, if you are also new, what do you think so far? Like, why did you join Insiders? What do you think about JT? I ask everybody
Yeah.
who
I
Insiders
know,
too.
I know. Well, I've heard you speak at a couple of the London events, so it's been really a journey. So I heard about JT back during the pandemic and did the Friday calls for a year. And
Huh?
then at the time, my business did a complete pivot. And then for whatever reason, I wasn't in a position to progress and join Deal Titans or anything else. So I took a step back. And then when he did the London event in September last year, I went to the London event because I was like, oh, this guy JT's popped up again. It'd be
Yeah,
great to go and see him live and in person. And that was when I signed up for Mega Success and signed up to speak at Mega Success as well last year.
very good.
And I had no clue what I was signing up for. I didn't have a clue what Mega Success was all about. I just thought, why not? Why
Yeah,
not? So went to Mega last year, thoroughly loved it. Absolutely, it was just the whole from start to finish, it was just amazing. So then went to a couple more events in London at the beginning of this year, and then that was when I was like, insiders? No, yes, no, yes, no. And I was just kind of not sure because I didn't think my business was at the point where it would be ready to benefit from it, or and also because I'm not in real estate, so I'm not investing in property. Back then, that's what JT was talking about and other people were talking about a lot of. And then when he started talking about AI, well, first of all, MA.
yeah,
I've got an M&A background, so I get M&A and it's something I've got a lot of experience with. I've sold three companies myself. And
nice.
I was like, oh, M&A, good, right. So I followed that through with Adam and JT and went to a few of the events, went over to Dallas for one of the events as well. And I started thinking, oh, maybe the Insiders is the right fit. And this is really corny, but the Insiders sit at the front of Mega Success.
Mhm.
And because you're sitting there, if you're not an insider, you're sitting there kind of taking your notes at the back of the insiders and you're rushing in to get a good seat every day. I was like, it'd be really nice next year to be able to have a table and somewhere comfortable with your names there, where you're sitting.
Yeah, yeah,
And that was kind of like the final decision. So, and I just thought the access to the coaching, the access to the other insiders as well. I know a few of them, and I thought, why not? Why not do it? And so, yeah, just learning, still getting to know people, still discovering what it's all about, and seeing how I can help people and support people as well. So, what about you? What are you getting from it so far?
yeah, it's good. So thank you very much for sharing. That's really good to see that the journey, what you experienced. So for me, it was a little bit different. I was actually on the event, on a PSA event here in the UK in October or September
Yeah.
when this was happening.
Mhm.
So I said to my business partner, go to that event in London, not because of JT. I didn't even had never heard about him. I was like, there's Joseph McClendon. He's obviously speaking on
Yeah.
Tony Robbins stages. He's really good. It's like, go and see
Uh,
him. I would love to be there, but I'm already in a different event. So you go. And after I'm in my hotel, and suddenly I think like I'm listening some speaker on that event, and suddenly money leaves our account, business account. I'm like $10,000. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what did he buy? I told him specifically, don't buy anything. We are not in a position to buy any more training. Like we are spending so much money on training, so don't buy anything. And 10,000. And I came to the room because he traveled to where I was. And I'm like, so what did you buy? And he's like, to be honest, I don't even know. I'm like, what? He's like, it's a guy named called JT Fox. And I mean, he didn't really explain what everything is in it. It's like there's some coaching or something, and after we had like 2 15-minute session and that one event, and I'm like, so we had 2 15-minute sessions and being on 2 days event for 10,000. It's like, yeah, it seems expensive, right? I'm like, oh well. But yeah, and after on that January event, it was
Yeah.
really good. I really enjoyed it. So we signed up for the 1%, the coaching
Yeah.
that in March. And so
Hmm.
so we see that we've been there, and we wanted to join the insiders to be on also in January, but we've not been in position to do
Hmm.
it. But after in March, we were
Hmm.
like, okay, we need to sign up. We need to find a way to do it. So we sign up, and yeah, happy that we did it because obviously insiders are closed now even.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's a really good community of people where we can help each other, leverage, see what can be done.
Hmm.
And that's why I also like doing this podcast with insiders because, I
Hmm.
can get to know them a little bit more and see like who's doing
Yeah.
what to
Yeah.
see if
Yeah.
there is way I can support them in any of these
Yeah.
things or
Yeah.
not, right? So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm very
And you're looking at the property side of things in Scotland, is that right?
So at the moment, yes. At the moment,
Yeah.
not only in Scotland, we are actually acquiring one hotel close to Leeds, which has actually accepted. I mean, he accepted the offer, but we negotiated the terms yesterday. He agreed, which is really good. And yeah, so we are focusing on that because we have a specialty in holiday lets. So
Mm-hmm.
anything to do with holiday lets, we have laundrette. So it's kind
Mm-hmm.
of nice synergy of these companies. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
now it's about just finding deals and partnering with people on those
Yeah.
projects. So this is the basically
Mm-hmm.
main thing. We'd like to start also doing M&As, but I feel like we
Mm-hmm.
need to build a little bit of base of like owning, certain
Mm-hmm.
amount of assets, and then we can step
Yeah.
up to M&As. One of my business partners, he decided to do the AI thing as well. So he's gonna
Mm-hmm.
doing his own because I feel like it's another distraction for us now, and
Yeah.
it's I don't want to focus on everything because after nothing's gonna get done. So yeah, and the JT said, like,
It's
you guys are doing great with the management. You have the cash flow. This is going well, but now you need to own the assets. So
yeah.
that's why we double down on, and it's going really well
Mm-hmm.
because in the last, to be honest, 3 months we secured 4 deals which we are buying and using our
Brilliant.
and partners' money, investors' money, which is
Yeah.
really good. So yeah, very happy
Yeah.
about the decision. Yeah,
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. So is he doing the AI agency or is he doing the kind of front end set going out to sell it?
the agents,
He's doing the agent.
he's doing
Amazing.
the
So all in. All in.
yeah, he's doing the all in. So yeah, it'll be exciting to see
Yeah.
how awesome. Yeah, so it was a very good podcast. I really enjoyed you sharing with me all these things because obviously, as a man,
Cool.
a little bit younger, I don't have that much experience. Luckily, I have a
Yeah.
wife who actually
Yeah.
enjoys it. She listens to a lot of these things, and she has women
Yeah.
around her which already went through it.
Yeah.
Sometimes she shares things. And I think it's important when you are prepared for something like that,
Mhm.
you're gonna go through that well.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's a really good job what you are doing. So thank you very much for coming up. And if there will be maybe a last thing you would like to share about, I don't know, you said you sold also 3 businesses in the past. If somebody is like struggling, let's say, with their business, or I don't know, like what helped you to overcome some of these things in the past if something didn't go as planned?
I think you just have to know that whatever in life goes up doesn't go up forever, and whatever goes down doesn't go down forever. So life isn't smooth and there will be ups and downs, and you just have to give yourself some headspace to think about how you can do things differently and know that there's always another way. So there's always hope. And just know that whatever you're doing today doesn't have to be what you do tomorrow. You can always pivot, you can always change, you can always do something different. And we can all pick ourselves up and start again tomorrow. So that's really the key thing that I always think is important for people to know.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. This is really good. I totally agree with that because we are in cycles and sometimes we don't know
Yeah,
we are in those cycles. And the other thing you mentioned, it's totally right because I see it so often like people think like they need to decide now what they're going to be doing for the
yeah,
rest of their life and they don't want to take that step, start. I'm like, just
yeah.
start. And in 2 years, if you don't like it, you change it.
Mhm.
It's okay. You have a whole life to do a lot of things. So just do
Yeah,
something.
exactly.
Perfect. So
Yeah,
thank you very much for,
fantastic.
for coming up, and I'll see you at the Red Bull very soon, actually, in the next month,
Yep,
or actually September.
soon.
So we'll
Yeah,
meet.
excellent. All right,
Thank
have a great weekend.
you. Yeah,
Take
you too.
care.